turning on a thin black sheet of glass. She saw both the lives flash before her eyes. She didn't even have time to cry. She was so...
Suspected killer dad Travis Decker. What did he look like before he picked up his girls? Footage here on Only Shannon Knows. Also, the chilling texts that the neighbor received after the children were found. The neighbor was one of the last people to see Travis Decker before he vanished with his 3 daughters. The neighbor is going to share chilling text details about Travis's strange behavior and final words before he did the unthinkable. Decker is accused of suffocating his 3 daughters, Peyton 9, Evelyn 8, and Olivia 5, and their hands were tied with zip ties. That is how they were found. Their lifeless bodies were discovered at a campsite in rural Washington state. Decker vanished into the woods and still remains to be seen. Speaking exclusively with the Daily Mail, neighbor Ben Newgen revealed that Decker had a sad look as he was picking up the girls on Friday. Now, please note, Whitney Decker did state she did not notice anything unusual. What was strange was that he kept asking me the same question at different points in our conversation, Newgen said. Like I wasn't remembering. Here are the 3 girls, and here is suspected killer Travis Decker. Now, Newgen knew that Travis had problems. The girl's mother, Whitney Decker, had told him that he had beaten her in the past and had gone crazy. His outburst led to their last divorce. He described Whitney as the perfect mom and said she was working 2 jobs and taking college classes to build a better life for her children, enrolling them in sports and dance classes and taking them on trips. Newgen said her kids were very, very sweet. After the Deckers moved in several years back, Newgen would mow their lawn, and their middle daughter, Evelyn, gave him a friendship bracelet as a thank you. The oldest daughter, Peyton, introduced herself to Newgen's son by giving him a handwritten card with a crumpled $1 bill inside. In the letter, Peyton wrote that she couldn't write well yet, but she was hoping to learn in school. She will never be writing again. Newgen described Travis as a clean-shaven, strong-bodied man when he moved in, a former military man who later joined the National Guard. As far as he knew, the Deckers were a happy family, though he did see indication of a violent fight during their marriage. He described simultaneously seeing Whitney with a broken arm in a sling and Decker with several bruised faces. And Decker with a severely bruised face. Now again, this doesn't mean that they were fighting, but this is just unique behavior that the neighbor is providing to us. As far as Newgen knew, the Deckers were a happy family. He said he asked about Travis's swelling at the time, but Travis blamed it on allergies. Ben Newgen, who saw Decker on Friday the last time before anybody else saw Decker. He knew Travis to be a pot smoker, but didn't know of any drug problems or mental health issues. He later moved out of the family home. Newgen noticed his absence and asked Whitney how her husband was doing, and she explained that they'd divorced and that he had moved out. She said she couldn't work it out, that he's crazy and he beat me. She told them at one point that he was homeless and living out of a truck in the mountains. When Travis showed up to get the kids on Friday, Newgen saw him in the backyard and asked him how he was doing. Newgen would still see him from time to time when he'd visit the kids and notice he had changed his appearance. He seemed unkempt, skinny, long-haired, and unshaved, Newgen observed. Travis left with the kids at 5 p.m. and was required to turn them home by 8 p.m. Their mother reported them missing that night. Over the weekend, Newgen still had no idea what was going on when he received a text from Whitney asking him to get someone to move the car that was parked outside their house. This is a picture of Decker when he went to pick up the children that Friday. Can you ask them, this is the text message, can you ask them to move the car in case Travis comes? She asked seemingly out of the blue. I will tell them to never park in front of your house again, Newgen replied. The next morning, Newgen texted her saying that he had heard a man's voice outside and wondered if it was Travis. No, she wrote with a sad emoji. Maybe Travis is stranded in the mountains, he asked. There's a chance, she wrote. There are helicopters going out. Hi, Whitney. Any news about your kids? Newgen wrote the next day. She then shared the tragic news, texting, they found their bodies. They can't find Travis. He said his tears started flowing at that point. Oh my, I am so sad. How did they die? He asked. I'm not sure yet, said Whitney. He then shared details of his conversation with Travis. He looked very sad and kept asking how I'd been. Many times, authorities swarmed the Rock Island campground on Monday evening after finding Decker's truck. The Chelan County Sheriff's deputies found the girls' bodies about 75 to 100 yards from the truck. Police believe the girls died from asphyxiation and reported that their wrists were zip-tied. Decker's truck also had 2 bloody handprints. Now, these were adult handprints on the tailgate, and inside were personal items belonging to Decker. A blanket, food, car seats, and a wallet. The campground also showed signs of recent activity with a tent and a cooler located a short distance away, but Decker was nowhere to be found, and he still is on the run. The girl's mother told law enforcement officials that Decker was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and believes he did not take medication for the condition. The father of 3 was supposed to seek mental health treatment and anger management counseling as a part of the parenting plan, but there was no sign he had followed through. In the divorce proceedings in September 2024, Whitney stated Travis had been struggling to maintain stability since they separated, and it was beginning to affect their daughters. She said that at times he would have the girls sleep in an armory while he was in the National Guard, despite her objections, according to the Seattle Times. She also said Decker was prone to outbursts and would come into her house yelling for the girls, who would sometimes fail to pick up after promising to do so. In one instance, Whitney wrote that her youngest daughter, Olivia, called her crying during a visit with Decker and said that she could not find her father. Evelyn came home with welts between her legs. I do not want to keep Travis from the girls at all, Whitney wrote in the court filing. To the contrary, I have bent over backwards to facilitate their relationship. But I cannot have our girls staying in what is essentially a homeless shelter, at times unsupervised, with dozens of strange men, or staying in a tent or living in his truck in extreme temperatures and unknown areas. This is not safe for them. The girls' maternal grandmother similarly wrote that Decker would drop off the girls at inconsistent times and that would sometimes upset. They would be crying when they returned home. They were all happy, smart, and well-adjusted girls, with exception of when Travis brings them back after visitations. This is according to the Seattle Times. Whitney told police that she did not believe her ex was dangerous, and she said that he loved his daughters. She said the girls had a good relationship with Decker and enjoyed their time with him, and noted that he had never failed to return the girls home before. She said when Decker went to pick up the girls on Friday, he was quieter than usual, which is out of character for him. He had also allegedly been talking about getting rid of his dog due to housing and financial struggles. On Tuesday, a judge issued a warrant for Decker's arrest and ordered that he be held without bail. Whitney Decker's attorney released a statement after Newgen's statement was released. It saddens me that Mr. Newgen felt it necessary to share Whitney's grief with the press in this way. I can tell you that despite the quotes from the Daily Mail, Whitney observed no unusual behavior from Travis when he came to pick up the girls on May 30th. So that is the only item that Whitney is disputing. All the other items, according to Newgen, are factual. You can be the of that. Let's look and see what Travis looked like when he came to pick up the girls. Again, here is Newgen, the neighbor, who received the text messages shortly after the girls' bodies were found. These are the text messages from Whitney Decker to her neighbor Newgen regarding the children and how their bodies were found. This is Newgen. Me too. How and where do they find the kids? They found them yesterday all the way down Icicle. That is from Whitney to Newgen. So sorry, Whitney. You are a wonderful mother. And Whitney loved this text message. Here is a picture of Whitney and her 3 daughters. Here's footage from when Travis Decker picked up the girls. What is he doing? Did he drop something? Is he itching his leg? Who knows? He seems pretty normal. In my next video, I am going to go inside Travis Decker's court battle where he and his ex-wife fought over custody just months before the murders. The things they said to each other in court, click here to watch it.